My name is Mackenzie Strofe, and today I will teach you about division strategy using Count Fast cards. The very first card in the deck will talk to you about the purpose of this deck, which is to teach students some tricks, if you will, on how to divide or how to know if a number is divisible by another number. So the first deck here is our yellow deck, and this deck is all about finding the number that is divisible by 2. A number is divisible by 2 if it ends in an even number, so 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. What a student would do is they would look at this deck and they would point to the number that is divisible by 2. So on this card, it would be 34 because the number ends in a 4, which is an even number. On this card, a student would point to 30 because it ends in 0, which is an even number. This would be a fun game for students to play together and try to race each other to see who can find the number that is divisible by 2 first. The blue deck is finding a number that is divisible by 3. This is a fun little trick that kids will like. The way to know if a number is divisible by 3 is by adding the two numbers together. So here the number is 35. If you add 3 plus 5, you have 8. That number that you get when you add them together, if it's divisible by 3, then that number is divisible by 3. So 8 is not divisible by 3, so I know that it's not that number. 5 plus 2 is 7, which is not divisible by 3. 4 plus 8 is 12, and that one is divisible by 3, so I know that that would be the answer on this card. Another example would be this card, which right away I would want to point to this card if I was racing, or this number if I was racing my friend, because 5 plus 1 is 6, and I know that 6 is divisible by 3. The pink deck is teaching kids to know which number is divisible by 5. And if a number ends in 0 or 5, then those will be the numbers that are divisible by 5. So here we have 104, which does not end in a 0 or a 5, so I know that is not the number. 25 would be the answer on this card because it ends in a 5. So I would point to the number 25. On this card, I would point to the number 70 because it ends in a 0. The other ones do not end in a 0 or a 5. The green deck is teaching kids to know if a number is divisible by 6. So this is kind of a two-part thing. The first thing students need to look at is to see if the number is an even number. If it's not an even number, then it will not be divisible by 6. So these are all even numbers, and I can tell that by because it ends in a 6. After you look to see if it's an even number, then you add the two numbers together to see if it's divisible by 3. So 1 plus 6 is 7, and that is not divisible by 3. 2 plus 6 is 8, which is not divisible by 3. 3 plus 6 is 9, and that one is divisible by 3, so that is my number, and I know that 36 is divisible by 6. Again, students can take this deck and they can race each other to see who can find the number divisible by 6 the quickest. And the last deck is the gold deck, and this is helping students to see which number is divisible by 9. This is much like the divisible by 3 strategy. We're just using the number 9 instead because the numbers are larger. So what you would do is add each of the numbers together and to see if it's divisible by 9. So 1 plus 0 plus 4 is 5. That is not divisible by 9. 1 plus 4 is 9, which is divisible by 9, so that would be my answer. This is a great deck to help students to understand dividing better, to increase their number sense with division, and to just help them practice and build their confidence with knowing what dividing is. There is a time card in the deck where students can grab a deck and they can time themselves. Or like I said, they could play with a friend if they wanted to do this with somebody. There's also an answer card at the back so students can check their answers to make sure that they're correct.